Siatkówka jest chyba najbardziej zespołowym z zespołowych zespołów.
Szósty set.
Nietypowy live, bo spontaniczny live i live też z gościem, który jest znany w Polsce, jest znany bardzo dobrze w Polsce. Hello, Roberto.
Hello. Jak się masz?
Bardzo dobrze. Mam nadzieję, że będziemy rozmawiać w języku angielskim z trenerem Roberto Santillim. Jak widzicie, jestem ja, jestem też i Kuba. Będziemy rozmawiać w języku angielskim, żeby nie zabić flow naszej dyskusji. Potem dorobimy napisy, ale tak właśnie tytułem wstępu chciałem zapowiedzieć, że to będzie rozmowa w języku angielskim, więc jeżeli ktoś faktycznie ma problemy z zrozumieniem języka angielskiego, no to po prostu będzie mógł odsłuchać tę naszą rozmowę w dalszej kolejności, no ale to już powiedzmy, nie wiem, jutro te napisy maksymalnie myślę, że powinny się najpóźniej pojawić. Roberto Santilli, trener Indykpolu AZS-u Olsztyn, Jastrzębskiego Węgla i MKS-u Będzin, czyli 3 polskich drużyn historycznie, obecnie trener Ziratu Bankasi Ankara. Ziratem Bankasi Ankara będzie drużyną, która będzie występować w Lidze Mistrzów w kolejnym sezonie. No i myślę, że tam aspiracje i chęci do zwyciężania są bardzo duże i Roberto Santilli po udanym sezonie, w którym był pierwszym zagranicznym trenerem w lidze koreańskiej, będzie chciał też osiągnąć sukcesy w lidze tureckiej. No ale są pewne elementy, które mogą mu w tym przeszkodzić. Okay, coach. So now we'll switch to English. My first question is related to the subject that I think is the hottest in Poland at the moment. So I would say the volleyball Olympics. So it's like the Olympics in Tokyo and the volleyball tournament, men's tournament. Poland lost in the quarterfinals. How up to date are you with the Olympics? Were you watching all the games? And how shocked were you on the scale from 0 to 10 about Polish team's loss?
Yes, of course. I'm, following all the games. I'm not missing any games from Olympic because it's the peak of the, sport event. So of course we have to follow it. But I can tell you something maybe that the delusion is not just about the Polish, but it's also about the Italians. We live the same situation in Italy, Yeah, of course, it was a shock to see Poland outside of fourth. Nobody could think about this, but also nobody could think about US out of the quarterfinal. That is a shock result, and also, as I told you, what happened to Italy. So I think that generally this Olympic Games was made in a situation very different than normally. You have to count the pandemic first, that it make a lot of problem on the preparation of the game. Some team had a problem with the league, and as you know, it wasn't the perfect situation to prepare the big event that could be like the Olympic Games, and also the strange PNL that they have to play lockdown in a place. So all the situations that generate instability into the team preparation. So we used to see the team arrive at the Olympic on the best shape they can, but this year it wasn't like this. And it wasn't just for Polish, as I told you, it was for several teams. So it means it was just the Polish fault to don't reach the result, but it was probably a general situation. And also, I think the Olympic Games normally generate a very emotional situation for the players. And you could see this during the game, but Olympic game is not just during the game; it's all around the game. So living in the village and living this emotion where we don't used to, to be like able to live normally. So I think that if I should say something, I think that emotion was the first point, was the highest motivation to describe how some team can play at some level, how some other team could play at some level, because that kind of emotion generate the confidence on the team. And you could see team play with so strong confidence that they never showed before. And it's not just France, but it's also Argentina, and it's also Russia. So a lot of things show something really different that we are not normally seeing in the volleyball competition.
Well, would you agree that we are seeing a little bit of difference now in volleyball, that volleyball is changing from the times where you had Trentino with Juan Torrena, Kaziski on the sides, also Stokr, to more playing more rather a defense type of playing than offense type of playing? Because in Poland with the great two attacker and then the receiver Leon and Kurek, normally in normal situations you would win the game, but because of the fact that France really played well defensively, trying to stop our effectiveness, trying to also eliminate our third wingman, so a receiver second, showed that volleyball is moving more into a defense side rather than an offense side?
Oh, that's a good question. And but going inside of the technical stuff, I could say if you watch Argentina and France, they reached the result thanks to the defense, reception and defense. So they were so solid, maybe the most solid team. And the defense also generated that confidence that I was talking about before. So, and generate the nerve on the players. And this was like a flow for the team, defending and increasing the confidence, defending and increasing the confidence. That make the instability of the opponent team. And if I have to be honest, this is a view of volleyball that could be related to this championship, but I'm not sure this could be related generally to volleyball. But if you watch France and Argentina, you're absolutely right. So they show very different kind of game. And then about Argentina, you also can say that big difference was made by the setter. The setter was like someone that had something to all the players. So he gave a confidence to all the players. And you could see players that are not normally performing at that level playing at a super level. But you're right. Being back to the situation, defense was a lack in and reception was a lack in US, it was a lack in Italy, and it was probably a lack in Poland. But of course, you have to remember that you miss Kubiak for almost all the competition there. So I understood they tried to force him to play. But as everything, if you want to be competitive on the Olympics, you have to think that because of the competition is so high and because of the pretenders are so high, so you really need to be at your top. And probably Poland wasn't at the top because of the Kubiak absence. So Kubiak is a player that can change a lot, can give more stability into the team and let all the other players play better. So playing with him or playing without him, it makes a difference. That's my
So you have also mentioned this strange, because COVID actually impacted both the club season, right? Because players were extremely stretched because of the number of the games that were packed into small amount of time. Then COVID has also impacted the VNL solution, right? So the schedule of playing. So Italy, Gdzie decided, because maybe it will be closer to your to your heart. So Italy decided not to send their best players to the VNL, right? So they decided to work all together, and they lost their quarterfinal. The Poland, on the other hand, sent the entire squad and made a huge amount of changes from game to game. So do you feel like what would you do if you were the coach of the national team? Like, what would be your decision on the preparation? So would you try to, play with 1/7, with like one squad over and over and over again? Or would you try to give them some rest? So like
especially that last season, there was no country competition last season, right? So the entire time between the end of the play when COVID started until the beginning of season 2021, you didn't play at all. So these players had like a break of 1 year without playing with each other on the national team.
Yeah, correct. And play national team is not the same than play the club season. So it's completely different because of the element and so on. Coming back to the question is, I say every coach has a different style and they have their own style. So we can, underline the different style they have. And for example, Vidal is a coach that like to keep the players together, but at the same time he like to change a lot during the preparation. So he never worked with a 6-player on the preparation because he like to involve everybody. It's his own style. He think that it works, and to be honest, normally it works. So we can't say that the Beatles team doesn't play well. They don't used to play well. They used to play very well. So he used to arrive to the appointment in the good condition. But it's like working like a pyramid, So starting from working with all the players and then reducing and go up and making the best 6, best 7. About Blangini, what I should say. Also, we had the same problem with Mazzanti, the women coach of national team. They decide to don't go to the Vienna. It was a choice. Then I will tell you my opinion about the choice. But when you make a choice, you always have one side positive, one side negative. So the positive side was that they could prepare physically better. They had players that need better preparation, like Zaitsev and Montorina and so on. So from one side, you can work more on practice. You can work more on physical stuff. On the other side, of course, you lost the rhythm of the game. From my point of view, coming from this last season, I haven't done in this position. I haven't done this choice. So I really think the team need to be together, and especially this came out also during the Olympics. The team need to find the rhythm to fight. So need to be inside of the fighting system. So it's how you set up your mind, if you're ready for the war or if you are just ready for the theoretical volleyball. And it seems like this for our team in Italy, men and women the same. So we were in theory prepared, but then we were not ready for the war. And in the war, you have to put the helmet on and be ready for everything. I should say we didn't make this step really to come inside the Olympic and fight. Step that Argentina did, step that France did, step that other teams.
Russia did most likely, right?
Russia
because
did.
they never impressed in the VNL, right? But
Yes,
they kept on repeating the same squad like over and over again. Kliuka, Volkov, Mikhailov, Kobzar, and so on.
And this at the end give you stability, So if you play if you play 15 games like in VNL on the same group or more or less the same group, then they give you stability to the team. So if you don't do this, then you arrive and you play the first game. And we struggled on the first game against Canada. Then we struggle even after, we lost Poland. Then we struggle finding the rhythm. And if the team is not taking the rhythm, you don't take the confidence. And the confidence is what helps you in the right moment where you have a big pressure. Because you can play volleyball, but then there is a volleyball and there is a volleyball with big pressure. And it's another stuff. So you have to be ready to play under pressure.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we talked about it, just ending this story about team competition. Russia in 2019, for example, the World Cup, they were 7th. They didn't impress with Samuel Vuo, but they played Volkov, Kliuka, Golubiev, and Mikhailov. And they kept on being more confident. And we talked about it. Poland played with Leon, Hubiak, Zatorski, and Kurek 8 games. 8 games before the quarterfinal against France. And with Slivka, I think 0 or 1. So
Yeah, I should say, the team is always made by a balance. So the singles are important, and it's 100%. But you could see, the U.S. team, the women's. I saw the game. Women, I never watched the women volleyball. I don't used to, but in the Olympics, you can learn something even there, so because it's a super good kind of volleyball. Even if I don't like the women volleyball, but I watched the semifinal today, Serbia against the US, and Serbia 2 days ago they just squeezed us 3-0, so like easy against Italy, and today US squeezed them so easy. And if you see in US, they have the MVP of the last World Championship on the bench.
Mhm.
So it means it doesn't care exactly the name you bring in your shirt. What is matter is the sense of the team and the balance of the team. So the balance of the team comes before everything. And what I can tell you, you can be prepared for the pick if you focus on the best players. Then if you suddenly have one of the key players not playing like Kubiak, then everything you have to restart and reset, and it's not the same. So you have to be supposed to be ready to play without, but they say you never be ready.
Especially on the highest level, right, where the details and the, as you mentioned, the pressure is impacting the how precise you are in every single ball that you play, right?
Yeah,
So it's like then you're missing one element, and it's hard to rewind this back to the moment where where you can track this with another outside hitter, as an example, like Slivka or Semenyuk, right? Because all of them showed amazing potential, amazing skill throughout the Champions League. Okay, so one of the stars, I think that's the good. I think that's the good word, right? So one of the stars of the Olympics is Trevor Clevenot. He actually kicked Kevin Tilly out of the first squad. He now is playing with Erwin and Gapet. So when you signed him for your team, I think it was announced around May. So were you expecting him to make such a huge impact throughout the Olympics, or not really, right? So it's like how yeah. So it's like okay. So that's the question.
No. To be honest, I really trust on this guy, and I trust on his technical skills. And I was sure that he deserved to play the best level of volleyball, because he has on his um, background, to have this qualities on the skill. He has the skills to be one of the top in the world, and I was happy for him that he could show this on the Olympic, because it's not easy. Sometimes you have, but you cannot show, or you don't find the rhythm, or anytime you come inside of the court, maybe you are not starting well. Then when you have a competition between players, it's not easy to do it. But I was pretty sure that the quality you have, then one day you're gonna show it. Nobody tell you which day you're gonna show it, but more or less you're gonna show it.
Okay, because as I've started, it's like throughout the introduction in Polish, I actually referred to you being, let's say, the head coach of Ziratem Bankasi Ankara. And I know that this year your team will be a part of Champions League, right?
Yes,
So then, did you have that in mind when contracting Trevor to make sure that your squad has sufficient proficiency, like volleyball proficiency, to make sure that that with the support of foreign players, because we know how it works in Turkey. It's typically 3 foreign players and 4 Turkish ones. Then it's like, did you have Champions League in mind as well, right, when contracting Trevor?
yeah, of course. We try to make the best team we could. When I designed the team, keeping most of the players from last year and just adding some extra player. But of course, when you try to add someone, you need to try someone top level, so they have best level. And we did. I mean, we reached the agreement with him on the beginning of May, and he was happy to come, and he signed with us, and everything was right. So we were happy, he was happy, and then something changed during the summer, and they tried to they had the first contact with us 1 month, maybe more than 1 month ago.
And to whom
So
you refer by them?
to the club.
Was it Jastrzębski Węgiel, right? Or
Yeah,
was it the manager,
it was
or was
the
it the player?
agent.
It was the
agent.
Yes.
Tried to contact us, and we refused and say we are not going to sell the players. Then what I know is Jastrzębski had this problem, so they tried to solve the problem in some other way. Tried to take the Falco, tried to take Ivovic, tried to take other players that I don't know. But so they tried to solve the problem. Then they come back to us, and they push the player. They just push the player to say that he doesn't want to come back here. So I think this is very unfair behavior. From my point of view, I'm always think that if you give the word to something or to someone, then you have to keep the word. That's how that's how I grow up. That's what I'm doing in my life. If I tell you something, I respect my word. But of course, it wasn't like this for him, because
Okay, so there was
pressure. He got a pressure. He got a pressure from coach. He still has a valid contract.
Okay, so he can either have it is possible, though we don't know this, that he might have 2 contracts or some kind of pre-agreement with Jastrzębski.
No. He didn't have any pre-agreement with him. He just signed a second contract with them. That is something that, of course, most of the responsibility is on the federation and the international federation. So the national federation doesn't have to allow you to make this kind of stuff. That's clearly, you have to guarantee the club that make an investment on the players. So you think about my club make a big investment on him, and all the team depends from him, and we suddenly lost the best player in August, where we don't have any chance to replace him in any way. So, and it's not about money; it's about what you invest in the people. So that's make me very upset, because we all manage the humans here, and we manage the humans will, and we manage the humans skill, but then you need to follow some ethic that it seems that in volleyball we are losing. That's just that make me very sad. So the sports system, and we are going closer to the football system, where the money is the first thing, where everything is done by the money, where who is leading the choice is the money, and that's all. But volleyball is not like this. It's not the volleyball that I know. It's not the Polish volleyball that I know. It's not the Italian volleyball that I know. So I didn't grow up in this environment. I grew up in an environment where people choose to do something, and they do something with all the energy. But it seems that our world is changing, and we are changing the world in the wrong direction. That's making me very worried.
So it's like, okay, so as we understand the situation, it seems that way that Trevor Clevenot, as of now, is still, we still consider him the player of Ziratem Ankara, right? Because he has a valid contract. So was there any discussion like between the two teams, which I'm saying, okay, is that in that case Jastrzębski Węgiel and Ziratem Ankara, to, I don't know, compensate the Turkish team in any way? Because I think that what happened with Tine Urnaut, at least according to some kind of rumors and to the official statement, is that actually they agreed, the two clubs agreed, so it was a little bit a different situation, right? It was
compensation.
Yeah, it wasn't.
They
found
a deal. No, they found a deal with the club, so they managed with the money that I don't know, because it's not my business. But they found a deal, as also the players, say in the statement. From our situation, we didn't make any deal, because we don't want the money. We don't need the money, so we need the player. It's different. Even because now it's August, like the market is over. Are we gonna replace a player like this? That's impossible. So there is no discussion. From my point of view, there is no discussion about this, and that's what I say to my team, and my president agree with me. So we are not making any, deal with money. We just want to be clear. But from this one side, from the other side, when the players call you and say, "Oh, I decide to go somewhere else, to play somewhere else," and I say, "How did you decide that?" "Oh, because someone convinced me to go there," and it's the point. So because
so who did, right? Because
the setter convinced him, because the coach probably convinced him, because the club pushed him in, and so on. So,
but was it like that? Fair. Did he even did the player talk to you in person about the decision, or it's all being done between the manager and the other club?
It's been done with the manager and the club before, and then the players inform me after I send a message to him several times. Then he come back to me saying, "Oh, you know what? I decided to go there." "Oh, good choice, man. Thank you. Congratulations. It's a good choice for your reputation." And it's, I know it's not the first time it happened, but from my point of view, that I see a lot of season, a lot of players, that's very remarkable situation. That and because it's happened often and often now, I think this. I'm not feeling well in this environment. That's what I want to say. If we're gonna do this job on this way, I'm gonna retire maybe, because it's not my word anymore. It's not the way I was, coaching the people and enjoying being with the people. And I don't mind if you coach, the top level player, or if you coach the low level player. You mind because you love volleyball. You enjoy volleyball. You enjoy stay with the people, whatever the people is. But these behaviors, like maybe
from my perspective, it looks like the clubs already have the squads, and then somebody thinks who is the richest. Well, maybe we'll get somebody else who already has a contract. Then they get the person from this club, which is a second level club, let's say, financially. The second level club says, "Well, we don't have the player, we will have to have anybody else." So we look at the third level club, we take him from there, and the chain goes as long as there is a club that has no money for somebody new.
Correct. Yes. And it's like a domino, where you always find someone that need the money and take the players from them. So the richest are always leading the lowest. And this is unfair. But this is made by the International Federation, because they should stop this system. So if you have a valid contract, you can't sign another one. But because we don't have this rule in our system, then you can sign the second contract.
You think this is a good solution to go like what football does, to have two, transfer windows, where you can only sign a contract in that window. If you sign one, you cannot sign another one, because you will be then abolished from playing. You think this is a good solution?
Yeah. You should have a period where you can send the contract, then you send the contract, and the contract is done. So you don't have to discuss the contract. On this way, we can discuss the contract every day here. So tomorrow I can have some other players calling me, say, "Oh, you know what? I thought I can go to play to Germany."
And there's one,
and it's no stop. There is no stop on this time.
There's one significant difference between volleyball and football, because volleyball requires you to be, to use typically one set of players over and over again, because with every single practice, with every single experience, they get better as the team. With football, actually, having one person leave your team out of 18 players that are, in rotation, then football is not a game in which, it would have such a massive impact on the overall level of your team. Here in this very situation, in a situation of any transfer like this, it's like it seems to me that first thing was Jastrzębski Węgiel should go to Ziratem Bankasi Ankara and ask, "Guys, we would like to make an official offer for Trevor Clevenot," right? So this seems to be like a reasonable solution here. right? And
Yes.
then it's either you make the decision because I don't know, you might need the money in some situations. If you don't need the money, if you need the player, then you say no, he has valid contract, right? You can try again next year, right? And this is how it works in football, right? You need to pay, right, if you want to get the player. In that case,
correct.
So it seems absurd to me. And my question to you is: would you rather stay in, let's say, the current circumstances? So I'm saying, okay, there will be no cash transfers. Cash transfers, cash moves between the clubs, or would you rather try to, I don't know, make some kind of regulations with, I don't know, with the participation of FIVB as an example that would, clarify this, right? Because at this moment in time, as Kuba has said, it's about, it's like in nature, right? The bigger one is swallowing the smaller one, right?
Sure.
And the smaller, this big fish is eating the small fish, right?
Correct. So from my point of view, we're already moving on the way that pushing a federation to make the better rules, to make the clear rules to avoiding this problem in the future for the future. But at this moment, the biggest point for me is to manage the motivation on the players. So how can you motivate the player that doesn't want to come? So even if we even if we decide to keep the players, how can you motivate the players that already told you that he doesn't want to come? And this is against the ethic. You convince someone else, then of course I can't have the players now because he's already said that he doesn't want to come. So of course I won't have the player, and I have to manage a situation like this. But because of the lack of ethic, and that's what we have to say. And if I relate it with the football, if you watch the direction that the football is taking is to change the player as fast as they can. And it's all about money, changing players and having money, changing players.
Rotation of players.
Rotation. And the agent get the money as much as they can, rotating the players. But if you watch the football from the side of the fans, that I couldn't see any figure related to the club. So it's very rare that you have a figure of players staying in the club for a while, so that the fans can relate their idea of the team with someone. And this is the biggest mistake you can do, because the fan should be the basic of our job. So we do this job not because of the money, not because of the sponsor, but because of the fan, because the people like it, because the people love the game. So we have to relate it to the fans. And always think that when we take some decision, it's because we are doing the job to make the people happy, to make the people follow us. So we are not doing for ourselves. That's my philosophic view of the job we are doing. But we work on the team and so on. But
But what would you do in that situation now? Will you look for a player who is not having any contract? Are you talking with another clubs for some players, or you will leave with Martin Atanasov and Wouter Termat?
Yeah, because it's the vicious circle. Somebody must stop, right? So it's like, as you had just admitted,
correct.
right? So will you be the one to stop it, or and for example trying to contact the free agent, right? Because that would break the circle, right? Because if you want to poach somebody, then it's over and over again.
Because I had a contact with some of the players, and I already say we are not going to break any contract if we are not agreeing with the club. So if we find a deal with the club, then we can talk with the players. But we are not convincing the players to break the contract, to go to the club and break the contract. This is not my way. And this will not my way until I'm done.
Yes. So your what you are saying is that if Jastrzębie would come and you would agree, then it would be a different story, right? If they would come and want the player, Trevor, and you would say, well, we need the money, so let's have him.
Yeah. Like, if I'm going to Piacenza or whatever team, and if I can find a deal for some other players, then we can have a deal. But I'm not pushing the players. I'm not passing through the players to get the solution. That's wrong. That's just wrong. and then we have to stop. And you can't say just, oh, everybody's doing this way. Oh, what that means everybody's doing this way? If everybody's doing wrong, what you're going to do? You're following the wrong way, or you're following your conscience and your ethic.
Okay, so we are known for asking difficult questions, and there is one question from Paweł Jaszkiewicz, so there was the situation where you let's say left Indyk Polazetes Olsztyn during the season, right? Like in the beginning of like it was around December, I guess, to move for Jastrzębski Węgiel, and then Michał Mieszko-Gogol came to Olsztyn, right, as a coach. So do you feel like this situation has any resemblance with what is happening, or was like if you could shed some light on the details of that situation, then it would be easier to understand like how it worked, right? So was it the mutual agreement between the three parties in that case, because it was very complicated situation because of Stocznia Szczecin actually disappeared at some point, right?
And
yes,
the
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I can tell you exactly how was the situation at that time. The Georgi decided to leave to go to Lube Masherat, to Lube Civitanov. And they called me from Jastrzębie. I mean, my agent called me and saying, "Oh, Jastrzębie wants you there." And I say, "No, I'm not going there because I'm in Olsztyn. I'm happy to be in Olsztyn, and I don't want to change. Even if the season were not going well, as you remember, my second season in Olsztyn was good because we had a Andringa injured for the first part of the season, and then we get like
Kapelus and Lux as outside heat.
Yes, correct.
Point,
so we lost
many
important players. Yeah, many problems and so on. But despite everything, I say no. I'm not moving from there. And you can ask to Jankowski, and he can confirm this because this was my answer. And the players also ask me, and I say no, I'm not going there. Then the situation changed because Mr. Goro pushed the club, pushing the way that they convinced the club to let me go. But then they come back to me, they also come back to me and say, oh, okay, because we want to take a new coach for next year, it's better for us to start from now to take the coach. So they decide to change, the coach and say, okay, let's start earlier with what's the name of the coach? The one who's coaching Gogol. And I say, oh, let's move with the Gogol before, so let's move it. And this was the reason I left. And and I can tell you something. I didn't want to go, but then they pushed me to go. And the last game we played, and I don't remember, we won the game. Right? And after I bring the players into the locker room, and I have to communicate to them that the club decides on this way, and I was crying so much that I couldn't speak with the players. You can ask to the player, ask to Wojski about it, and it was so emotional for me to leave the club there. And then you can ask the president. I still have a relationship with Jankowski and all the players there. Because I was clear. I was clear to say, if you push me to go, and I will go there. But and after I went to Jastrzębie and we played well. We reached the final of the cup. We reached the bronze medal on the championship. And the year after, I was fired after 26 days of the regular season. I can't say it was the wrong decision for me, but that's kind of in our job.
Okay, so that was one of the questions that were asked, like also in the preparation of our live today, right? So it was asked on Twitter. So and another question was also related to the circumstances of Salvador Oliva leaving Jastrzębski Węgiel, because it's like it might not be in line with, let's say, the overall subject of our live, which would be the contractual agreements and, let's say, the transfer market in volleyball. But since that might be interesting to some of the fans at least. So how was it?
We always want to hear names,
Yeah, no. I tell you, with Oliva was easy. When I arrived there, he already decided to leave the club, left from there because he didn't have space. He didn't have space to play, and the previous coach didn't like him. So, and he had already decided to leave. And when I arrived there, I was clear with the players, saying, "What do you want to say?" And say, "No, I want to leave. I don't want to stay here because of this and this and this." And I said to him, "Okay, if you don't want to stay, I won't keep you here. So I will let you go. But of course, give us the time to find another player to replace you. At the day I find another place, I can let you go." Then I know that he had an issue with Mr. Coral there because the president didn't want to let him go because he was like the important player for the fans, and he was scared that
He had his best
let
season
him
in the
go.
past, first his season
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Poland
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah, yeah. Of
fantastic.
course, yeah. But he's a kind of player that if he's in the starting six, he can give you a lot. But if he's on the bench, he just it's like a battery with no energy. So and this was the point. So he was completely empty when I was there. So completely not motivated to be there. I say I don't want to have a player not motivated. We're gonna change. So that's why I pushed the team to give a chance to him to go, and he went to Fenerbahce and he enjoyed the season, and he just restart his motivation, and it was much better. So sometimes you just have to understand the motivation of the people and just move on.
If we have a few minutes left, there are people asking us on the chat. Mostly maybe without names, but did you have any offers from Poland this season after you were done with Korea? Was somebody asking you to coach or not this season?
No, actually, after the Korean season, it was so tough. I could tell you, it was so tough. 11 months in Korea without having the chance to come back
To
here
Europe,
because of
yeah.
COVID. It was tough, and the environment was difficult, and the season was difficult. But finally we won the season. But I decided to have a break, so I already planned to have 6 months break, so I wouldn't take any job until I have this call from Ziratem Bankasi that they just came from winning the championship too, and my friend Medei just left for personal reason, so I couldn't say no. That's why I get the reason. But I didn't have any serious offer from Poland. So, but also because I wasn't. I was planning to get the rest, but no, I didn't have any.
Okay, so there's one question that must be asked in regards to Trevor Clevenot. So, what happens now? Because that's what we are all interested in. Because the situation seems extremely hard, like extremely hard to to find a solution that would satisfy everybody, right?
Yeah.
So it's that. So are you and the club determined to stick to Trevor, like with as much force and as much strength and effort as possible, or are you willing to let him go because you understand, as you just said, the motivation, right? So it's like, can you trust player who is not motivated, right? So it's like, will you be able to build his motivation if it doesn't go his way? Because that's simple. He wants to go to Jastrzębski.
And adding to what Piotr said, will you take any steps against his move? Like, we reach contact the federation.
Yeah, I can tell you. As I told you about Oliva, I'm not keeping the players not motivating to play in my team because motivation for me is a basic of our job. So if you are not motivated to do your best, I'm not keeping you, and it will be very difficult that he will come back on his decision and decide to come back here, even if we have a right that we don't have, even if we have the right that we don't have, as I told you. So from my point of view, I'm not thinking about this player anymore. I'm thinking about the fact that we have a lot of damage by this player. We have a lot of damage by the situation, and and I really want to do something for the future to don't let this happen again. That's why we wrote to FIVB, we wrote to SAF, we wrote to all the institutions to let them move on the better and clear rules for don't let happen again this problem. So that's our point. But at the same time, we have a big damage. and I'm not talking about money because it's not my job, it's a president job. But I say we have a big damage because now we have to find a player that is not on the market. So I don't know what I can find, honestly. But I just want to remark that situation that sometimes as being covered by the club, not saying the truth, as being covered by the federation, don't say the truth. And I don't think it's right. I think the people have to speak up and say, oh, listen, that's what is happening. So that's what it happened, that the people should know and the federation should know. So we have to make the people aware about what's going on. Then I will handle the team without Clevenot. That's 99%.
Okay, so will that change your goals for the season? Because it must, right? It's like the one of the leaders, one of the supposed leaders of your team is gone, right? You might not be able to replace him. So it's like what is the situation with your goals, like from the management of the club, right? So it's like, will they expect less? Will they expect the same, right? Because that's also the valid question, right? That's your professional. Those are your professional goals, tasks, right? That you need to fulfill, right? In order to be, graded positively, right?
Yeah, correct. But I just want to remark the fact that if we didn't sign this contract in May, I could find another solution in May. So that's the biggest point. So that's the biggest damage. Because in May, if I had not signed with him, I will sign with someone else. So that's why he damaged us. And this is the biggest point. It can't just pass under the light. But by the way, about the goal, of course, the team has the goal to win. Of course, because it's a strong club, because ambitious, and because. Of course, we are doing everything to keep the same level, and we will never stop in front of this point. So also the Turkish people are not stopping in front of the problem like the Polish people used to fight, and they used to fight too. So they fortunately the management is made by very serious and solid people, not related to emotional people. So they understand the situation perfectly, and we are working to make the best solution. That in this moment, I don't know which is it.
Okay.
I don't know which is it, but we are working.
Okay, so another question in Italian on the screen. Which one? which one, right? Rafa is asking.
I don't know who is asking this question, but just to be equal, I can tell you the white wine in the summer could be, in the fridge, and it could be fresh, and the red wine in the winter could make it cold, could make it warm. So you can use it. Depends from the season. Could be the right answer.
How about Falangina?
Falangina, super white wine. I love it.
Okay. Another question that we have on the
Think
chat
about the
is,
memories. There are some questions about the memories from Poland, because for sure you worked in Poland from 2007, and the last year was 2018. So 11 years of difference. How did Poland change? How the league changed? The level changed? Because we on our podcast we are saying that we are getting closer and closer to Russian or Italian league. Is it true that the difference is being smaller now between the leagues?
Oh yeah, the technical level they show this year, Zagra and Gdzie, they show that there is no gap anymore between the top level team in Poland and the top level team in Italy. And this was clear by the result, but also was clear by the level of the game. So Zagra played it like amazing level of game, and that's clear. And also new players arrived this year in the Polish league, like Conte, like Uroš, Kovacevic, and so on. So you always have new players coming, like Clevenot, and so on. So you always have the top players arriving and adding to the level. So from this side, I'm not surprised, because I saw the level of Polish league increasing every year. So I remember first time I arrived here was 2007. And the league was completely different than now.
Mhm. Yeah, because I think I think you are one of the people that actually have the great outlook of what has happened over the years, right? Because I think your first time in Poland was 2009, right? 2008, 2009, more or less. So seven. Okay, so it's been 14 years, right? So the revolution might happen in 14 years. So we are extremely glad from, of course, the fans' standpoint that you also agree that the level is getting higher and higher. Not to mention Zaksa, right, who is like one of the primary examples of this level.
But coming back,
closing up, yeah.
Coming back on the Polish, I should say, the Polish style. I remember perfectly. My first practicing, my first week practicing with Robert Prigel and David Murek, and I remember perfectly, the hard day they were practicing and playing, and it was amazing. So I was shocked. I remember also, an episode when I called them for lunch, and it was like my first week there, and I called them for lunch, and they just arrived at the lunch with the coach, and they have like a position like this, and say, "Oh guys, what happened?" And it was like protecting themselves, saying, "Guys, what happened?" Hey,
Yeah.
coach, nobody called the players. No coach called the players for lunch. It means something is going wrong. And it's, this is not the reason you come for lunch. You come for the lunch to cooperate with me. And this was the first step. I started to cooperate with the Polish player. That's why I love them, and I can't say I always have a good relationship with them, because they understand that I was working with my heart for their skills. And this was the beginning of a great relationship. And I remember, for example, David Murek, that is still an icon on follow. And that's why, if I compare the way they were playing at that time and the problem that I having now, and I say, oh, something is going on the wrong direction on volleyball, and we have to be aware of it. And that's exactly that.
By the way, do you know Latin? A little bit of Latin.
Lucky.
Do you know Latin language, as in the old historical Latin? So it's like there is one comment that is that you might laugh at, because from the official message, official information on the Jastrzębski Węgiel website on Tine Urnaut's move to Zenit, right?
Yeah.
As the Latin quotation says, "Pacta sunt servanda." So the deals should be completed.
Yes.
So that's what they wrote in their official statement on their website, right? So it's ironic, right?
Yeah, ironic. Correct. Ironic.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Okay. So I think that's it, right? So I think that's the good place. That's the good place to stop. So thank you very much, Coach. I'm seeing on Twitter that actually Clevenot Gate is beginning to trend across Polish Twitter, at least Polish volleyball Twitter. So at least we are hoping to get some traction, and to start the discussion, maybe to among also bigger media than us, that would finally answer the question of how do we want to proceed in volleyball? Because I think this is what this is all about. It is not just about Trevor Clevenot. It is about the transfer market that needs some kind of regulation so that we can move in the future and work all together, right?
Transparency, about the transparency that is still important.
Exactly. So the transparency is important. Okay, so thank you very much. I'm hoping that our fans enjoyed it. It was in English, right? So as we said, the subtitles will be there. We will need some time to cover that, but give us some time. And in the meantime, so this situation will continue, right? So it's not going to be, I think, the last thing that we've heard from Jastrzębski Węgiel, right? And maybe from Ziratem Bankasi Ankara. So that's going to be interesting. So thanks. And Szóstego Seta, as always, is here to cover all the topics that might be controversial, right? So thank you very much. Thanks, Coach. Thanks everybody. Thanks, Kuba.
Grazie per tutto e buona fortuna per questo campionato.
Thanks to you. I just want to say, always keep Poland in my heart.
Thank
See
you.
you soon.
See you
Bye
soon.
bye.
Bye bye, Roberto.
Thank you.
Bye bye.